Congressman, welcome to the show. You just heard what Congressman Vesey had to say about your comments. You've also been criticized by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and the head of the DNC, Jamie Harrison, both of them black. One of them black from Brooklyn, like you were born in Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn. What's your response?
My response is that it's very interesting how people can just lie and mischaracterize what I said. The video's on my social media. Go to @Byron Donalds. You can listen to it in full.
You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together.
That's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then H.E.W., Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are.
I never said or insinuated anything about Jim Crow being better. Just was talking about the marriage rates of black families in America during that time period. It's an empirical fact.
You mentioned Jim Crow. Wait a minute. I've watched your video. You mentioned Jim Crow 4 times. One time you referred to families. All families did less. They had higher divorce rates in the 60s and 70s as the nation opened up. This wasn't because of Jim Crow kept blacks. Blacks couldn't vote. Those families couldn't go downtown. I mean, to in any way infer that the families, black families, were better than Jim Crow. I mean, I've said things that I've later said I shouldn't have said it that way.
I've never said that.
Can't you own that even sanitizing Jim Crow, even if that wasn't your intention, was to say, that's my intention, I'm sorry for using those words?
Well, first of all, I never sanitized Jim Crow. I was just talking about the era in which black marriage rates were higher than they were during the Great Society and every other point in American history.
But why did you say Jim Crow?
Because that's the period of time, Reverend.
The period of time was the 50s, if you wanted to say the 50s.
That's when it happened.
You said Jim Crow.
That's when it happened. Because that was the era in which marriage rates were higher. Look, you had Joe Biden a couple years ago talking about Jim Crow 2.0, talking about Georgia's law, and he lied. He lied then. So are we not allowed to talk about that era, or only are we allowed to talk about it when we do want to recall all the history of Jim Crow and all the tragedies that occurred during Jim Crow?
If we're going to talk about the era, Congressman, and you name a race-based law, then you cannot take race out of the fact Jim Crow was a law against black people. You weren't just talking about the era of Dwight Eisenhower and Harry Truman. You named Jim Crow. There's only one way you could deal with Jim Crow, and that's by race. I mean, look, look, you and I had mutual friends. People say you're a straight shooter. We may disagree on politics. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. But look, you were born in Brooklyn. You went down into the South, went to Florida State. You have an interracial marriage. You're the congressman of a district that's not a black district. I mean, how can you even live with yourself acting like Jim Crow was a good era or better era for blacks? What happened to you?
Okay, that's real cute. That's real cute. I did not say that. And I'm not going to sit here and have to insinuate that against you. Because right now you're lying about what I said. I did say Jim Crow. I did reference it 3 times. That's not to say that it was better. I never said that. Those words never came out of my mouth. When are you going to get that through your skull and everybody else's skull? I never said that. And the difference between me and a lot of other Republicans, I'm not going to sit
what you said. You said it was better for us.
I'm not going to let you
under Jim Crow to bring families together. Did you say that?
Hakeem Jeffries was lying. The Biden campaign was lying.
All right.
Go look at my words.
Well,
go look at my words.
Right. People can look at your
Jim
words.
Crow was better? No, I did not.
You said
I did not say Jim Crow was better. I never said it was good. I did not have nostalgia. I never said any of those things. I was talking about black families and black family marriage rates during that time.
Okay.
And the.
All right. Then what did Jim Crow do to contribute to black families? Hello?
I'm not talking. Oh my gosh!
You said that you said under Jim Crow, black families. So explain to me what Jim Crow did to help black families.
The marriage rates during the Jim Crow era were higher for black families up until the point of the Great Society. I did not say that. I said they were, and this is the problem because you're trying to say that I said because of Jim Crow marriages were at a higher rate. I did not say that. I said during. I said during.
But why
I guess
did
we
you
can't refer
use
to
Jim
time
Crow?
periods
Jim
then,
Crow
Reverend.
was
That
a
don't make
race
no
law.
sense.
Well, first of all, under Great Society did programs like manpower training, model cities, train young people. HEW didn't do anything about families. It's health, education, welfare. So, I mean, what are you talking about? They were not the antithesis to marriage. I mean, Congressman, all right, let's go to this. Donald Trump suggested twice just this week that he might seek retribution against political enemies of if he's elected president. He also tried to link his legal problems to the injustices African Americans have suffered at the hand of our legal.
Okay, let's stop it right there, man, because they're going on to another topic. I guess they got tired of fighting, man. Let me go ahead and remove this on the stage, man. Let me go ahead and guess we gotta do that. Yeah. This was not a good look for Byron. This was not a good look for Byron, and I'm going to say that, and it's whatever, man. It's just keeping it real. We're going to keep it real here. Al Sharpton got after it. That's what he did. He got after the young man, and the young man really got flustered there. His voice went up a couple octaves. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Al didn't give him nowhere to go. Yeah, man, Al Sharp tongue, kind of cornered the young guy there. Okay, if you're saying it wasn't about Jim Crow, why'd you say Jim Crow if it's nothing about Jim Crow? If it's not, why referring to that as a bookmark in the mind? You put that in the bookmark in the mind, you mention a time, a very specific time, and you say you mentioning that specific time had no correlation to the point you were trying to make. Why did you say that time? Folks, someone said, Tim Black, just because you don't like, just because you detest the Democratic Party's ways, does that mean you give a pass to their rivals? I had to think with that. I had to sit with that a little bit. So what I'm doing, I mean, I detest both of them. It's not like I'm saying go join the Republicans. So just to make sure you understand what I'm saying here. Here we go. Let's talk. So me and Mrs. Black, we've been together forever. We met in high school. And let's just say, just a little background. In my 30s, I used to go to the gym all the time. That's what I did. I went to the gym every day. In my late 30s, I went to the gym every day. I was even doing P90X. So we got to imagine Brother Tim Black was doing pretty good in the fitness department. You know what I'm saying? I was looking good, man. I was looking good. So now if I'm having a conversation with Mrs. Black later on tonight, she says, baby, I sure miss the gym days. You sure looked good in those gym days. And I said, huh? She said, yeah, you was something else back in those gym days. And I said, what you talking about? Are you saying I'm out of shape? Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Then why are you bringing up my gym days? Oh, because it's just a time, and it was just a time in our lives when you was doing your thing. Like, nah, but you bringing up the gym days specifically to make a point. Are you saying I need to get back to the gym? Oh, no, I'm not saying that. You're not? Sounds like that's what you said. No, baby, I love you. You look amazing. I was just remembering once upon a time I used to go to the gym. And I just thought I just mentioned that the gym days. So do you see how, now does it make sense how stupid Byron thinks you are? Man, I do not rock with the Democratic Party at all. That ain't what this is about. But we gotta keep it real. Mrs. Black said, I recall a time where you used to work out and your ass ain't working out no more. She's talking about something about you in the stomach. And the man boobs. It is what it is. Byron is lying to everyone. He's gaslighting, and it's getting a little old and his skirt showing. Ain't nothing wrong with guys wearing skirts, but they should be tucked in or a slip is showing. And just like the ladies try to tuck in their skirts or their slips, he need to tuck his slip in because this looks bad. This looks bad. Yeah, it looks bad. It sounds bad. And the way he's talking, I'm starting to sense a little bit of that Bushwick, too much swagger. No, man, first of all, man, what we're not going to do, what you not going to do, now what you not going to do, Byron, is pee on black people and tell them it ain't pee. You ain't going to tell me that's rain. I know rain ain't yellow, and it don't smell like cognac. Okay? Okay, brother? All right, Diddy. So anyway, so that's really what we're getting at here. And it's kind of redundant. Like he's been everywhere. The same conversation. It's every platform. It's everywhere he goes. And yeah, it was funny at first watching them play cat and mouse. Abby tried to get at you. Joy Reid came at you, both guns blazing. She scored a little bit. But Al just knocked your ass out with this because it's like, and I knew he knocked you out because you got a little testy. You felt the heat. What we should do, guys, is remember that both of these parties suck. And let's not judge people by looks, by haircuts, by hairlines, by states where they were born or what city, as if they had any control over it. Let's judge them on their merits and what they're about, okay? And what he's about. And yeah, the Democrat Party's desperate. They jumping out there. They're exposing themselves as well. They're exposing that they can't give up any territory. They can't cede any ground to Republicans as bad as Biden's doing with the black men. They can't have a black Republican male coming out here making inroads with their blacks. Can't have you come around here riling up our blacks. Yeah, but Biden was going to have to do a better job if he's actually going to score points. If he's trying to impress Donald Trump, this is a wrong way to go about it. That's all I'm saying. So let's keep the party going. Here's a little bit more. He talks about, I want to play it because I want people to understand his politics, okay? Because, sometimes we get hung up on the personality of the politician, hung up on their delivery. It's hard not to because they talk for a living. They are professional talkers, professional actors. So they're good at this. It's what they do. This is how they raise their money for their campaigns. And make no mistake about it, if you can't raise money in our political system, you won't win. You can't stay in our political system. So you got to get good at winning people over, convincing people. Hell, 80% of a congressperson's time is spent dialing for dollars. Become an excellent salesperson. So it's not just the American people. Sometimes people blame the voters for being hooked into the charisma or the style of the politician. These are professionals at doing that. That's what politicians do. Average person may not be prepared for that. But let's keep it going. I want people to see the substance, if there is any substance behind Byron Donalds. Let's take a look at that. Because I haven't heard anybody really talk about what Byron's about. They just talk about this one statement he made. But what about him? Okay? So let's just do that. Yeah. Check it out.
Why should black Americans believe that Trump is serious about criminal justice reform when he only seems concerned about it when it applied to him? You know the record. You're from Brooklyn, what he did around the Central Park case. You know the record that he was president when George Floyd was killed by police. He said nothing, had protesters moved from in front of a church, made a speech denouncing the protesters. He has no problem talking about locking up his political opponents or homeless or asylum seekers, but he now wants to act like he's a victim of something. What is your response to that, Congressman?
Well, first of all, during the Trump presidency, he also signed into law reforms to criminal justice reform, the first step back, which actually helped get a lot of people released who were imprisoned under the 94 crime bill that was authored by Joe Biden, one of the worst pieces of crime legislation that's really impacted a lot of people in the black community.
You and I agree on the 94 crime bill. I marched on it, and Joe Biden has said that it went too far. But Donald Trump has not dealt with his own record of discrimination. If you're talking about the two candidates, Donald Trump, unlike Biden, who talked about how the crime bill did go too far, Donald Trump has not dealt with his discrimination, that he was sued by the Justice Department in housing, what he did with Central Park 5, what he's done in various race cases, and explained as president what he did with George Floyd. You were in Congress.
What did he do with George Floyd? He didn't do anything with George Floyd. What are you talking about?
That's exactly right.
What did he do against it? He did not do anything. The only thing he said is that riots in America do need to stop. Well, first of all, let's talk about that legislation, because there were actually policing bill that there were two bills that were going through Congress at the time. The bill that could have went through and passed was the one by Senator Tim Scott, and the only difference between that bill and the bill that was being moved by my Democrat colleagues is because my Democrat colleagues wanted to get rid of qualified immunity. Right. That was the only difference in the bill. Local law enforcement universally said, if you get rid of qualified immunity, you're going to have less officers on the streets. And so the Democrats did not want that bill to go forward. I believe Nancy Pelosi was speaker at the time, and that's why that bill could not get through the House.
They did not vote for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And did you vote for it, you in Congress?
I wasn't in Congress at the time when that occurred, but I will tell you that the reason I was not in Congress, I got in 2020.
Did you?
No, because that bill would have gotten rid of qualified immunity. And getting rid of qualified immunity would have meant less officers on the street, which is bad for public safety.
So the only way you would have supported a bill to hold police accountable is if police would not be individually accountable? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if you most police officers make $60,000 to $70,000 a year. If they are not individually liable in civil court, how many people are going to sign up to be police officers? With all the millions of encounters they go through every single year, people aren't going to do that. That's not my words. That's the words of officers I talk to.
Maybe if they knew they were liable, they would behave differently.
The vast majority of officers do not do that. The vast majority of officers are good public servants. They serve our communities every single day. You know this.
The vast majority of people, congressmen, don't commit crimes, but that doesn't mean we don't need laws. Let me go to this one.
But qualified immunity is a bad solution. It would have not been good. It would have not been good.
And Donald Trump opposed it and did not come with any police reform at all. Marjorie Taylor Greene, let's go to her.
Tim Scott had a bill that
what police reform bill
had a bill that Donald Trump supported. Go back to the Tim Scott bill, which was moving through the Senate. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't hear it in the House.
What was the police reform bill that happened during George Floyd that Donald Trump, as president of the United States, when George Floyd was killed, what did he support for police reform? Donald Trump.
At the time, Donald Trump was supporting the Tim Scott measure that could not get a hearing in the House because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't allow it. You can have Senator Scott on. He'll tell you about it. I'm quite sure he will.
I met with Senator Scott. And what I'm saying to you is, did Donald Trump then say, we'll do this about police reform? This is wrong what happened to George Floyd?
Nancy Pelosi would not let it through the House. She was speaker. You should ask Nancy why she didn't put it on the floor.
No, I'm asking you then, what was the Republican bill around reform? A man was killed. He was president.
It was the Tim Scott. I just told you the bill. It's the Tim Scott bill. And
when Donald Trump went in front of that church and stood up there with the Bible, he did not tout any reform bill at all. End of story. And you and I both know that.
I'm sorry. So the only bills that matter, only bills that matter are the ones that actually have a name that a president cites, not the actual legislation that's moving through Congress.
He could have named the bill. He was president of the United States.
You already know that's a ridiculous standard.
Well, then why didn't if Tim Scott's was the bill, then why didn't the president come out and call on the Congress and the country to rally around that bill? He said nothing. You know it, and I know it.
First of all, I don't know. Donald Trump talks a lot. You should ask him that question. I will tell you that Nancy Pelosi did not let that bill come up in the House. She was speaker. Ask her.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Lot there, man. Lot there. Lot to talk about. Al Sharpton wouldn't let him breathe. Wouldn't let him get his bearings, kept coming at him, was very prepared. Yeah. Byron did a little bit better here. The First Step Act, I agree with that. I supported it. I had someone from Cut 50 that was supporting it through Van Jones' organization. It's not about Van Jones, whatever policies, whatever he does, whatever. But that particular group that was supporting Cut 50, which supports the First Step Act, they came on this channel. We had a good segment, and we talked about it. It was a piece of legislation that helped a numbers of people, helped thousands of people. Way more people than Biden were helped. Way more people than Obama helped. Okay, so that's very clear. Let's be clear about that. So that's the score for Byron Donalds in that point. Democrats won't give him that, but I'm gonna give him that. He also scored when he talked about Joe Biden's crime bill. Whenever you talk about Joe Biden's crime bill, there is no wiggle room. It is what it is. And you can talk about other crime-related legislation that he was pushing in the late 80s to the early 90s that was just as bad. They were also very damaging to black folks in particular. Okay? But Al Sharpton did a good job of not defending that and saying, hey, yeah, I marched against the 94 crime bill. So when people say everyone supported the 94 crime bill, yeah, not everyone supported it. Al Sharpton and many other black leaders were marching against it. But that's what Democrats are programmed to say. Sort of like Byron's, what he's programmed to say. When people come for him about Trump's policies or Trump's lack of policy. So they're all playing sort of the same game here. But don't y'all think that Joe Biden has more of an obligation to do more than just say, he admitted he was wrong, it went too far? What's that? What's that? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, I admit I went too far. What's the reparative measure that you're willing to take for those brothers and sisters who took all this time or got a disproportionate amount of time for the state of a drug that the other people got way less time for? It was all racialized, folks. So what's the remedy? What are you going to do about it? That's an excellent question. Byron should have flipped it and said, you support Biden heavily on this show. Everyone on your network, for the most part, 95% of MSNBC, commentators, anchors, all support Joe Biden. So what Joe Biden do to remedy what he did? But I think he was punch drunk a little bit from out hitting him. But I'm asking, I would ask that question. And you should ask that question whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, because that ain't what it's about. It's about truth and justice, man. It's about helping people who have been harmed by a horrible policy that took away people's freedom, destroyed lives. And once again, something I mentioned in another show that goes very much unmentioned, a lot of people die in prison. Okay? You don't just go to summer camp. There are people who died, were horrifically assaulted in prison because of Joe Biden. There are people with PTSD. That's what you can catch that in prison. All types of problems in prison. So what is Biden doing about that? He didn't just, oh, my bad, y'all. I shouldn't have pushed so hard for that. Nah, man, what's the remedy? What you do about it? You've been a senator, a vice president, and now you president, and you still saying sorry? Now, don't say sorry with words. That ain't how we say sorry in America. We say sorry with deeds. And when you're a person in power, deeds are money. Deeds and money. That's how we apologize in America, ain't it? Somebody runs over your rose bushes. Your neighbor runs over your rose bushes because they're drunk one night and destroys all your plants. Oh, my bad. That's it. Well, Biden ran over damn near a generation of black men's dreams, hopes, families, everything. And he just goes, oh, he won't even say I was wrong. He says we went too far, which is a different thing, ain't it? But it's not a problem for Al Sharpton to support him. He has no problem. So yeah, there is hypocrisy, man. Definitely hypocrisy in both sides, and it is what it is. I'm sorry, people say Tim Black don't both sides. It's true, they're both hypocrites. What you want me to say? They're riding for their respective jerseys. They're riding for their teams. And they're both wrong. I ain't gonna vote for either one of them. So it ain't both sides and to say safe. They just both. Sometimes I don't want burnt crow meat or bush meat. Democrats love bringing up Central Park 5, and I agree with them on it because Trump needs to be a man about this and step up and say, hey, I was wrong. He come from the same school that Biden goes to. It's called Never Admit When You're Wrong, which is the school many politicians go to. Byron can't admit you shouldn't have said Jim Crow because he's using that in order to get publicity. It worked out for him. I've seen Byron Donalds more in the last couple of weeks than I've seen him since he came in office. Trump was not a politician when he wrote these damn op-eds. He was a private citizen, being a garbage individual. But he was not elected official. He did not have legislation. He did not have power over the country. He was not a public servant at the time. There are things that politicians have done, like Biden, who were in a position of power. That don't make it right, but there is a difference between what a politician does and what a private citizen does. But the fact he hasn't been honest enough to just say, hey, I mean, he could take that off the board and say, yeah, I should have never wrote that op-ed. I should have never wanted that publicity. I should have minded my business and not listened to whoever's telling me. Because, people were telling him that the kids admitted to it. That's what he was, But anyway, the Central Park 5. So, yeah, I hold Trump accountable for that. Unlike other people who say they're honest and they're real. When they get to that issue, if they're not real, if they're not admitting Trump was wrong. They're not being real. They're not being honest. A lot of people think he took out one ad. That motherfucker took out 3 ads. Okay, I'm recording this after the show because something didn't sit right with me about the ads. The Central Park 5 ads. So here it goes. I was wrong. Donald Trump didn't take out 3 ads. He took out 4 ads. And he took out 4 ads in 4 different newspapers, all on the same day, May 1st, 1989. The New York Times, the New York Daily News, the New York Post, and the New York Newsday, which I never heard of. But these ads called for the reinstatement of the death penalty and were published shortly after the kids were arrested. And later, when they were exonerated, Trump did not retract the ads. And to this day, Donald Trump has not admitted he was wrong nor apologized. Back to the show. He bought 3 pages in 3 different newspapers calling for the death penalty for people who hadn't even been adjudicated yet. On Byron. Anything else on Byron, y'all? Oh, qualified immunity.
Well, first of all, let's talk about that legislation. Because there were actually
policing bill that
there were 2 bills that were going through Congress at the time. The bill that could have went through and passed was the one by Senator Tim Scott. And the only difference between that bill and the bill that was being moved by my Democrat colleagues is because my Democrat colleagues wanted to get rid of qualified immunity. Right. That was the only difference in the bill. Local law enforcement universally said, if you get rid of qualified immunity, you're going to have less officers on the streets. And so the Democrats did not want that bill to go forward. I believe Nancy Pelosi was speaker at the time. And that's why that bill could not get through the House.
They did not vote for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And did you vote for it? You in Congress?
I wasn't in Congress at the time when that occurred, but I will tell you that the reason I was not in Congress, I got in 2020.
Did you? No,
because that bill would have gotten rid of qualified immunity. And getting rid of qualified immunity would have meant less officers on the street, which is bad for public safety.
So the only way you would have supported a bill to hold police accountable is if police would not be individually accountable? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if you most police officers make $60,000 to $70,000 a year. If they are not individually liable in civil court, How many people are going to sign up to be police officers? With all the millions of encounters they go through every single year, people aren't going to do that. That's not my words. That's the words of officers I talk to.
Maybe if they knew they were liable, they would behave differently.
The vast majority of officers do not do that. The vast majority of officers are good public servants. They serve our communities every single day. You know this.
The vast majority of people, Congressman, don't commit crimes, but that doesn't mean we don't need laws. Let me go to this one.
But qualified immunity is a bad solution. It would have not been good. It would have not been good.
I support ending qualified immunity. This is where Byron Donalds shows his hand. So if you think cops should get away with killing people and never be held personally responsible, if you think cities should continue to spend millions bailing out bad cops, then you want Byron Donalds as your guy. It's amazing that there's actually Republicans who are supposed to be fiscally conservative want their city to bail out cops who did the wrong thing. First of all, not a lot of cops get arrested. It just gets promoted a lot. Like 1%, is it even 1% of cops that ever get charged? Less than 1% of cops get charged for what they do. But the horrific nature of what this is, a lot of cops never face any repercussions. And the ones that do, many of those do not see the inside of a jail room, even if they get tried and convicted, okay? But Byron's on the side of those cops saying, well, we can't lose cops. Nah, some cops need to be lost. Once again, not a big Al guy. I'm not a big supporter of Al Sharpton, but when he's right. People can be right about stuff. And this is one of those particular issues that I rode for very hard. In fact, I was giving away a book about ending qualified immunity. And I'm a part of an organization that campaigned to end qualified immunity. It's on the website somewhere. You can Google it. My picture's up there like this, with a bunch of other people that want the same thing, which is the end to qualified immunity. Because I believe, unless you hit people in the pocket, they're not going to hear you, though. Sometimes people got to feel it in their pocket to hear you. And as long as somebody else picks up the tab, they're going to order everything on the menu. And that's how bad cops are. It's like they order everything on the menu because somebody else picking up the tab. But yeah, when it's you who got to pay the tab, you might just want a salad. You might not beat the hell out of that person. I saw where they sicked a dog on a guy who was already handcuffed. You know how many millions of dollars have got to be paid out to that guy? Now, it makes no sense to sick a dog on a person who's already in cuffs. It also makes no sense for that to come out of the city budget. Why should not that cop face the same punishment as a bad doctor? Doctors, you know how many people die because of bad diagnoses? So anyway, I disagree with Byron Donalds on this. See, that's what we need to do. That's what the media sucks at. Joy Reid sucked at it. Joy Reid didn't talk about policy. Abby, you didn't talk about policy. Al got to policy. I appreciate that more. They got to policy, not just this gotcha with the word Jim Crow. You want to argue about this word. Hakeem Jeffries want to argue and make his points because no one pays him any damn attention. I know I don't. Says some cops make 60 to 70,000 per year, and if you take away their immunity from having to pay when they screw up, that they won't want to be cops. Guess what? We need to pay cops more money. We need to pay cops more money and end qualified immunity. I had a Baltimore police officer, former Baltimore police officer, used to come on my show. We did a whole set of interviews around this subject. Told you I've been doing this a long time. This was around the time of Freddie Gray. In one of the new policing, reimagining policing series, we did like 5 videos. I believe cops need to make more money, and there should be less cops. And they should do less. No reason why the same guy that you want to handle a hostage situation should also be trying to find your cat and also dealing with someone with a mental health crisis. And somebody trying to carjack you. Like, that shouldn't all be the same person. Those are different skills in a different level of preparedness. And I think if you want better cops, you should pay them more. Certain cops who do certain jobs should make more. Just how I see it. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comments section. I mean, you may be new to the show, may not know this about your brother Tim Black, but that's how I feel about it. All right, guys.